Hi, everyone. My name is Sam Mooneyham. I'm the Director of Student Teaching at Converse University, and I would like to share some information with you about the teacher evaluation system used in South Carolina. At Converse, we also use that as the basis of classroom observations that you are a part of during student teaching, as well as clinical experiences. The Adept SCTS South Carolina Teaching Standards 4.0 rubric also informs the planning of lessons and also the formal evaluation of teachers that occurs during their second year of teaching. And we think that having as much exposure to this rubric and as much practice with it really benefits our teacher candidates because when the time comes to be formally evaluated at your school district, the feeling of familiarity will go a long way in creating the best possible experience for formal evaluation. The rubric is something that I want to share with you, but I also just want to share a little bit of background because, again, you might have had a great deal of experience with the Adept rubric, or this may be something quite new to you. So I'm going to share my screen and hopefully um, give you information, share with you the information that is going to just kind of make things make sense. Because sometimes we're not quite sure why we're having to do what we're doing. And that, I know for me, makes me feel a little frustrated. But that frustration reduces when at least I understand the intent behind it. And the intent here is to create an environment of professional development and professional growth and collaboration among teachers. So the heart of it, I think, is fantastic. So let's jump in and hopefully answer some questions that maybe you didn't even realize that you had. So, what is ADEPT? It is, it's short for assisting, developing, and evaluating professional teaching. It grew out of the knowledge that good teaching is fundamental to student academic growth and achievement. It always comes back to how to best serve the students in our classrooms. Now, the assessment rubric emphasizes the direct connection between teacher practices and increased student learning, and the need for an evaluation system that continually develops educators at all performance levels and produces actionable and constructive feedback to support professional growth. All adept formal evaluation systems must include multiple pieces of evidence that reflects teachers' typical performance relative to each of the South Carolina teaching standards indicators. Evidence must be collected from the following sources at a minimum: your lesson plans, classroom observations, reflections on the instruction and student learning, professional review, and the student learning objective and professional growth and development plan. Evaluation teams may also request student work from observed lessons to support SCTS indicator ratings. So, in short, to just kind of sum up what all of this is saying is that in the past, teachers would be evaluated through classroom observations, and really that was it. During their evaluation year, we were told that evaluators could come in at any time and that we needed to have on our desks always lesson plans that were updated, seating charts, everything that if someone were to walk into our classroom, they would be able to know exactly what was going on and what the goals were for the day, the objectives, all of that. And that's a good practice anyway, but there was that element of surprise and that apprehension of, oh gosh, is today going to be the day? I hope it's not today because I'm giving a test. And so it really felt divisive. It created just this atmosphere of kind of a gotcha situation. And that just wasn't benefiting people who were really teachers who were participating in it. And so the newest iteration of the evaluation system is far more collaborative, it is far more coaching based. And what that looks like is prior to your observations, you meet with your evaluator, you share with them your lesson plan, you talk about it, you receive feedback, and then there is a knowledge of when that observation is going to occur. Then after the observation, there is another meeting to just really debrief to find out how you felt like that went, what your evaluator saw, any questions that they have, a plan for making modifications. Because even the very best lesson, we feel like there are some things that we would have done differently if given the opportunity. So that post-observation conference allows for that conversation with the intent of growth, not of any kind of punishment. I was going to say, well, not with any evaluation, but it is an evaluation. But your evaluator is in there working with you because ultimately we want to help nurture teachers who are going to stay in the profession and feel supported and confident, in fact, be competent and confident in their classroom practice. Moving on, the evaluation process is designed to provide support and encourage reflection and professional growth. As I was just saying, the pre-conference provides an opportunity to build a rapport with the teacher. The purpose of the pre-conference is twofold. First, this conference provides the observer an opportunity to ask questions and begin collecting evidence for the upcoming lesson. Second, the pre-conference allows the observer to begin coaching and address any issues that may negatively impact the lesson. Another point that I want to make about the pre-observation conference is that you have the opportunity to explain some situations. Like you might have a student who has a modification and you want to let your observer know about it. Or you may have a student who is currently experiencing some kind of crisis, maybe a health issue or something's going on at home, and that is really impacting how they are showing up in your class. And you would be able to share that with your observer, your evaluator, and that really provides context. And it also eases your mind that if someone comes into your class and they see you doing something that might not be really aligned to best practices, pedagogy, etc., they will understand why you're doing what you're doing. And that's awesome to me. So the Adept assessment rubric is comprised of four domains. There's instruction, planning, environment, and professionalism. And within those four domains, there's a total of 23 indicators. And I want to also show you what that looks like because if you've never seen the rubric, hopefully that's not the case. But even if you have never seen it, that's still okay. You're fine. You're still way ahead of the game. But to elaborate a little bit on these domains, instruction, planning, environment, and professionalism, each of these is very important. I will say that in terms of our observation and evaluation, instruction is weighted the most heavily. It is actually what you are doing in your class, what kind of teaching practice you are demonstrating. Planning, environment, and professionalism, while they are weighted less heavily, they are very important. I'm going to stop sharing this screen because I want to share with you the State Department of Education's website so that you can see what this rubric looks like. I'm going to reshare my screen. You are going to be so familiar and comfortable with this rubric. By the time you finish student teaching, you are going to be a pro at looking at this rubric and aligning your lesson plans to meet the very highest possible standard. So you can see instruction, the instruction domain. When I said that there are indicators, this is what I mean. Standards and objectives, motivating students, presenting instructional content, lesson structure and pacing, and so on. I won't read all of these aloud to you because you can see for yourself clearly all of the components of instruction. So when you are being observed, when you are actually planning your lessons, forget being observed. When you're planning your lessons, when you're planning units of instruction, these are important to keep in mind. What kind of feedback are you going to provide? How are you going to group your students? Is there any content knowledge that you feel like you need to really dive a little deeper in so that you can be that expert in the class? How well do you know your students? Their personal interests, their personal contexts, their areas of growth, and so on. Moving on to the planning domain. Again, you can see these indicators, instructional plans, student work, assessment, and so on. Then move on to the environment domain. This is, as you might expect, it's the environment that you create, the learning environment, and that is the physical as well as the emotional environment of your class that you have absolute control over. Now, I will say, on that note, that when you are student teaching, your observer, your supervisor, your evaluator, they know that you have limited control over the environment. You can control yourself, like that emotional environment that you create, but you are a guest in a teacher's class. And while many mentor teachers really encourage their student teachers to make it their own, to create bulletin boards, to just do different things with the physical space, that's not always the case. And teachers have put a lot of their time and heart and financial resources into creating their environment. So we do always want to respect that. But just know that you are not going to be negatively impacted, or your score will not be negatively impacted by your lack of autonomy over the physical space in which you are teaching. And that could be something to even discuss with your university supervisor in those pre-observation conferences. You could say something like, my mentor teacher really prefers that I limit what I have control over in the physical space because they have very intentionally created this space, and that's sufficient. We get it. So more environment, and then professionalism, the final domain here. And like environment, we know that there are indicators that just they're not going to apply to you during student teaching. There's only so much leadership responsibility that you can contribute as a student teacher in the school environment. There are other things that you absolutely can help with. You can attend pep rallies. You can go to an art show or anything like that that really provides more than just the bare minimum, things that help you to establish good rapport with your students, their families, the community, your colleagues. So, to the extent that you are able, and there are so many things that you do have control over, such as being at the very least on time. I say preferably early every single day. Being present. Absences are reserved for really extreme situations, things that are just really unavoidable. Those happen, but we want to keep those to a minimum. Um, Being present at staff meetings, respecting your colleagues, conducting yourself in a professional manner with your words and your behaviors, your attire. So, this is something that we're going to spend a good bit of time on when we come together for orientation, because if you are at all like I was, I had no experience with professionalism before I was a professional. So I worked all the way through college in various capacities, but I would not consider any of them, quote, professional environments. It was, minimum wage jobs. It was being a kennel worker at a vet clinic, which it was important there also to be on time and to be present and so on. But I was not in my career and establishing a reputation for myself as an educator, a professional. So this is something that we completely understand that some of you have a great deal of experience with this already, and others of you, this is your first professional work situation, and you might not be as familiar with some of the expectations. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and hopefully that has created a little bit of familiarity and comfort in your mind when you hear people talking about adept evaluations, SCTS 4.0, and other such things like that, throwing around words like domain and indicators and exemplary and proficient and so on, words that without context really are meaningless. And I know I don't like being held accountable and responsible for things that I just don't know about. We are going to spend as much time as you like on this rubric and really lean on your university supervisor as well as your mentor teacher. And of course, me. If you find that you've got some questions, I am always available and eager to step in. But I also know that your mentor teacher and your university supervisors, they're going to perhaps have a better sense of the day-to-day situations with which you might have some questions. But I am always here, and I hope that you will never uh, hesitate to let me know how I can help. I look forward to seeing y'all soon.